Cold open. The ship that should not have been alive. There are places in the world where silence feels wrong, where the air itself seems to hold its breath, where even the ocean, usually loud, restless, alive, goes still, as though witnessing something it refuses to speak of. On December 5, 1872, the Dei Gratia was cutting through the chill Atlantic air when a lookout noticed a shadow on the horizon. A lonely silhouette, drifting with no sense of direction. At first, it looked like any other merchant vessel. But as minutes passed and as the ship drew closer, a quiet dread spread across the deck. The vessel moved like a sleepwalker, alive, but not awake. Her sails hung loose and torn, flapping like the wings of a wounded bird. No signal flags, no figures on deck, no movement at all. Just a ship, breathing in the wind. Captain Morehouse raised his spyglass. His heart tightened. The hull, the lines, the masts. He recognized them. It was the Mary Celeste, a ship that should have been bustling with life. A crew of 10, a captain he knew personally, a woman and her 2-year-old child on board. But through the lens, Morehouse saw only emptiness. He ordered a boarding party. Imagine the sound of oars dipping into dark water. 3 men rowing toward a ship with no crew. The ocean around them too still, too quiet, as if it were watching. They climbed the rope ladder, boots thudding against the deck. The first thing they noticed was the smell. Not death, not decay, but the cold, clean scent of the sea. No rot, no blood, no signs that something violent had happened. The second thing they noticed, the absence. A ship is supposed to feel lived in. Footsteps, creaks, shouts, tools clanking. The Mary Celeste felt like a stage after the actors had vanished mid-performance. The helm creaked softly in the wind. A door banged somewhere below. Everything was in its place, except the people. Food was stored. Fresh water remained. Cabins were tidy. Children's toys still sat on the floor. The ship's logbook was open, calm handwriting from just 9 days earlier. But every living soul was gone. Not taken. Not injured. Not running from an attack. Just missing. A ship, fully alive, moving forward without the people meant to guide it. The Mary Celeste would go down as one of the most chilling mysteries in maritime history. A ghost ship not because it was dead, but because it was too alive. Part 1. The Ship and Her Shadows. To understand the terror of her discovery, we must first step back into the cold shipyards of Nova Scotia in 1861, where the Mary Celeste first touched water. She was built sturdy, broad-shouldered, capable of crossing oceans with confidence. Her hull was tough, her masts strong. A reliable vessel meant to survive storms and bring wealth to those who commanded her. But sailors have long memories and even longer imaginations. And the Mary Celeste developed a reputation quickly, not through legends, but through events. Her first captain died suddenly on her maiden voyage, collapsing on board under circumstances never fully understood. Later, she collided with another ship in the English Channel. An accident, technically, but sailors do not see accidents. They see omens. Then came a storm that nearly sent her to the bottom of the Atlantic. Then a mutiny attempt. Then more financial trouble for her owners. Small things, unconnected events. But sailors live in a world where the slightest coincidence can grow into a curse. They whispered the ship had a shadow following her, something unlucky, something restless. Still, ships don't choose their stories. People do. And the Mary Celeste, curse or not, kept sailing. By 1872, she had changed hands multiple times, acquired new owners, new captains, new paint. She had been rebuilt, strengthened, and declared seaworthy once again. Her new mission: carry 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol from New York City to Genoa, Italy. Her new captain, Benjamin Briggs, a man known for his unwavering calm and his deep but quiet faith. He was the kind of man sailors trusted instinctively. Fair, methodical, and deeply experienced. Some captains drank. Briggs did not. Some captains cursed. Briggs did not. Some captains gambled. Briggs prayed. A gentle man, but unbending in discipline. He had brought his wife Sarah on the voyage, small, soft-spoken, and devoted, as well as their baby daughter Sophia, just 2 years old, with thick curls and bright eyes. Briggs personally chose his crew, 7 men he trusted with his life. There was no tension on board, no discord. Just a group of seasoned sailors preparing for what should have been a routine crossing. On November 7, 1872, the Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor. The weather was calm, the sea steady. A new beginning, or so it seemed. But from the moment she left port, the Mary Celeste was alone. Part 2. Across the wide Atlantic. Life aboard a 19th-century merchant ship is not glamorous. But for the Briggs family, this voyage held hope. Sarah wrote letters home describing the early days at sea, speaking of Benjamin's steady leadership and the crew's good spirits. She wrote of little Sophia wandering the deck, clutching her doll, squealing at the endless waves. The sailors doted on the toddler. Men hardened by decades at sea softened when she toddled by, handing them pebbles she had found on deck or tugging their trousers for attention. Yet beneath the routine, something quieter stirred, something nobody could name. The crew was aware of the ship's troubled past. Men talked. Stories spread. The Mary Celeste creaked more than other ships. Her hull groaned at night in a way that made men shift uneasily in their bunks. On some nights, sailors claimed the ship felt restless, as if something unseen walked her decks when the moon rose. Of course, nothing supernatural actually happened. But fear does not require facts, only whispers. And whispers were plenty. Still, there is no record of conflict, no record of storms, no record of anything that would explain what was coming. What we do know is this. The last logbook entry, on November 25th, placed the Mary Celeste near the Azores, a group of islands in the middle of the Atlantic. The entry was calm, mundane, routine. Weather steady, course stable, nothing abnormal, nothing fearful. But it would be the final words recorded by anyone aboard. Because from that moment on, the Mary Celeste sailed alone. Part 3. The Dei Gratia's approach. Now we return to December 5th. Imagine you are on the Dei Gratia, cold wind biting at your cheeks, the sun sinking behind gray clouds. The ocean around you is a vast, indifferent expanse. The lookout shouts, "A vessel ahead." Captain Morehouse raises his spyglass and squints into the distance. He recognizes the rigging, the slope of the bow, the size, the proportions. But there is something wrong about her shape, something sagging, something off balance. Her sails are partly unfurled, but uneven, as if they've been handled by the wind alone. Morehouse lowers the glass slowly. A coldness settles in his chest, because he knows the ship, knows the man who commands it. He had dined with Captain Briggs only days before their respective departures. They had shared conversation, laughter, wine. They had wished each other safe voyages. And now Briggs' ship floated before him, a husk, motionless but not sinking, drifting but not wrecked, moving but not guided. Morehouse ordered 3 men to board it. First mate Oliver DeVoe, seaman John Wright, and another crewman. They rowed across the dark water, oars slipping silently, the sound swallowed by the vastness around them. As they approached the hull, its wooden frame towered above them, black against the pale sky. The ship felt expectant, not dangerous, not abandoned, just wrong. They climbed aboard. DeVoe called out, "Hello?" His voice echoed down the empty deck. No reply. They separated, exploring the ship. The cabins were tidy, the beds made, trunks undisturbed. Captain Briggs' cabin showed no sign of panic. His belongings were in their place. Sarah's clothing still folded neatly. Sophia's shoes arranged beside her small bunk. In the galley, the stove was cold but clean. Food supplies untouched. The ship's chronometer, missing. Compass, damaged. The lifeboat, gone. But the hull? The structure? Perfectly sound. There was no reason for anyone to abandon this ship. No storm. No attack. No catastrophe. And yet, there was no one. Just empty space where people should have been. The kind of emptiness that makes the hair on your arms lift. The kind that feels unnatural. DeVoe ran his hand along the table where the logbook lay open. The last entry, in Briggs' neat handwriting, was calm, routine, almost peaceful. But the room felt cold, as if the moment the ink dried, something ended. Part 4. The tow to Gibraltar. Morehouse decided the Mary Celeste had to be taken to port. Maritime law allowed salvagers to be paid for rescuing an abandoned vessel. But the tow would take 400 miles, through shifting seas and unpredictable weather. The crew of the Dei Gratia lashed the ghost ship to their own and slowly, cautiously, began the journey to Gibraltar. For days, the Mary Celeste followed behind them, not like a rescued vessel, but like something pursuing them. Sailors reported strange sounds at night, wood creaking in ways that didn't match the waves, ropes tightening inexplicably, a feeling of being watched from the deck of the empty ship behind them. Of course, nothing supernatural happened. But place yourself in their shoes, towing a ship where a baby once laughed, where a family slept, where sailors sang, and knowing all of them were now gone without a trace. Every wave seemed to whisper a question. Every gust of wind felt like a breath. For the men towing her, the ocean suddenly felt very large, and the world of the living suddenly felt very small. When they finally reached Gibraltar, the officials who boarded the Mary Celeste felt the same uneasy chill. There was something too neat about the scene, too untouched. And so began the investigation. Part 5. The Investigation. A Ship on Trial. When the Mary Celeste arrived in Gibraltar, she wasn't welcomed as a rescued vessel. She was treated like a crime scene. The British Vice Admiralty Court launched an immediate inquiry. At its head was Attorney General Frederick Flood, a man known for his sharp suspicion and sharper tongue. Flood was obsessed with order, evidence, logic. And from the moment he stepped aboard the Mary Celeste, nothing looked logical to him. The ship was too intact, too neat, too calm. He paced the deck, running his fingers along the rails, searching for scratches, blood, broken planks, anything that hinted at violence. He found nothing. Flood scowled. He didn't like mysteries. He preferred villains. And so he created one. He turned his suspicion toward Captain Morehouse and the crew of the Dei Gratia, the very men who had salvaged the ship. Flood theorized, without evidence, that Morehouse had murdered Briggs, his wife, his child, and the entire crew, and then staged the ghostly abandonment. It was an elegant theory. Cold, neat, storybook tidy. Except for one problem, there was not a single shred of proof. No blood, no damage, no body, no motive. And the salvage payout, which Flood claimed was the motive, was insultingly small. Still, Flood pushed. He interrogated the Dei Gratia sailors for hours. He demanded tiny details. He searched for inconsistencies in their story. He looked for cracks in their fear. But the more he pressed, the less sense his theory made. The waves of accusation crashed against the same silent wall. The Mary Celeste held no evidence of violence. Eventually, reluctantly, the court dismissed the murder theory. But the suspicion lingered like smoke. Flood refused to grant the Dei Gratia's crew a fair salvage fee. Instead of the standard large reward, he gave them barely a fraction, a decision many believe was motivated by embarrassment, not justice. The truth had slipped through his fingers, but the mystery stayed behind, and the public could not get enough of it. Part 6. When a ship becomes a legend. Newspapers spread the story like wildfire. Ghost ship found drifting. Captain, family, entire crew vanished. No signs of struggle. A ship that sailed itself across the Atlantic. The Victorian world, already fascinated by the supernatural, mesmerized by the unknown, devoured every detail. By the time the Mary Celeste reached London papers, the story had grown teeth. Writers embellished what they didn't know. Some claimed bloody footprints had been found. Others said the table was set for a meal when the crew vanished. Others still insisted that the crew was last seen terrified, fleeing something unseen. None of it was true. But truth didn't matter anymore. The mystery was alive. And then came a man whose imagination would transform the Mary Celeste from a maritime curiosity into a full-blown urban legend. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Years before Sherlock Holmes existed, Doyle published a fictional story inspired by the Mary Celeste. But he changed the name, added violence, hinted at supernatural horrors, and suggested dark forces no sailor could escape. Readers believed it. They flooded newspapers with letters demanding more details. They whispered the tale in dockside taverns. They repeated Doyle's invented facts as if they were gospel truth. The Mary Celeste became the ghost ship, the archetype of abandonment, dread, and things that vanish without explanation. But real investigators, real historians, they wanted answers, not legends. And so the theories began. Part 7. The theories that try to explain the impossible. Even now, more than a century later, no theory fully explains what happened aboard the Mary Celeste. But some theories come close, others stretch belief, and a few sit somewhere between fear and possibility. Let's walk through the major ones, but be warned. Each theory explains something, while leaving something even stranger behind. Theory 1. Sea monsters. Victorian sailors believed in them deeply, not as myths, as possibilities. The ocean was vast, dark, unexplored. Whales the size of houses lurked beneath the waves. Giant squids surfaced in the dead of night, their tentacles scraping hulls. Could a massive creature have attacked the ship? A hull strike would have shown damage. A monstrous tentacle would have left broken spars or torn rigging. But the ship was pristine. No. Whatever happened was not claws or teeth. Theory 2. Pirates or criminals. A simple explanation. Logical. Predictable. Except pirates steal valuables. They steal cargo. They steal gold. The Mary Celeste's cargo was untouched. Jewelry left behind. Money untouched. Cabins neat. No robbery. No violence. No pirate. The ocean can be cruel, but not always criminal. Theory 3. Mutiny. Many investigators considered it. Could Briggs' own men have risen against him? Unlikely. Briggs handpicked his crew. Every man had sailed with honor before. None had reason to mutiny. And without violence, how do 10 people silently disappear? The evidence simply wasn't there. Theory 4. A rogue wave. The ocean hides surprises. A rogue wave, a sudden, towering wall of water, could have slammed the ship, damaging equipment, terrifying the family. But even if a wave struck the deck, why abandon the ship? Why not return as soon as the threat passed? Why leave everything behind? And with weather reports showing calm seas, this theory too falls apart. Theory 5. Madness or poisoning. Some speculated contaminated flour or food poisoning caused hallucinations or mass panic. But food stores were intact. No signs of illness. No overturned furniture. Just silence. Theory 6. A waterspout. A waterspout could have caused a deafening roar, damage to instruments, or change in pressure that terrified the crew. But again, the ship was untouched. Theory 7. The most accepted theory. Alcohol fumes. Among all the explanations, one stands above the rest. Grim, scientific, and tragically human. The Mary Celeste carried 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol. 7 of those barrels, made of an inferior wood, were found empty or leaking. Here's what many modern experts believe happened. Alcohol fumes seeped into the hold. The temperature rose. Pressure built. And then, a vapor pop. Not an explosion. Not fire. Just a sudden, violent whump of expanding air. Enough to shake the ship, blow open hatches, or momentarily alarm anyone nearby. Captain Briggs, hearing it, smelling the fumes, feeling the pressure shift, may have believed a catastrophic explosion was seconds away. And Briggs was not alone now. He had his wife and baby on board. The decision he made may have been rational, protective, human. He ordered everyone into the lifeboat, likely tied it to the ship with a rope, planning a temporary evacuation until he was sure there was no danger. He might have instructed the men to wait, to watch, to stay close. But the ocean does not honor intentions. A sudden gust, a heavy swell, a knot slipping loose, a rope snapping, a lifeboat drifting slowly, then quickly, then hopelessly out of reach. Imagine Briggs standing, helpless, watching the only safe refuge for miles, the Mary Celeste, drift away. Imagine Sarah clutching Sophia as the ship grew smaller. Imagine the sailors shouting, rowing, fighting against currents that did not care. And then, nothing. Just open water beneath them. A sky indifferent above them. In a ship, now fully alone. The Mary Celeste sails on, and they do not. This theory explains nearly everything. Why the lifeboat was missing. Why the ship was in good condition. Why there were no signs of violence. Why belongings were left behind. Why log entries remained calm. Why it happened suddenly. Why nobody ever returned. It is logical. It is cruel. And it is devastating. But it still leaves a void, Because no bodies, no lifeboat, no debris ever washed ashore. The ocean swallowed them completely. Part 8. The Return of the Cursed Ship. The story should have ended there, but the Mary Celeste did something strange. She kept sailing. She was cleaned, repaired, and sold. New captains tried their luck. New crews boarded her decks, and one by one, she ruined them. Some voyages nearly sank. One captain died mysteriously aboard her. Another crew mutinied. Another fled the ship altogether. By the late 1870s, no sailor wanted anything to do with the Mary Celeste. She was spoken about in low voices, referred to as bad luck, as cursed, as haunted. Eventually, a captain tried to end her curse by intentionally wrecking her on a reef to collect insurance money, but even that failed spectacularly. The ocean didn't want her. The world didn't trust her. And finally, she sank. Not mysteriously this time, just tired. A troubled ship, swallowed by water deeper than memory. Her story, however, refused to drown. Part 9. Modern Analysis and the Final Truth. Modern forensic historians agree the most likely scenario is the alcohol fume evacuation. But even this theory leaves questions. Why didn't Briggs return? Why didn't the crew leave markings or signals? Why wasn't the rope found? Why did the lifeboat vanish so completely? Commemorate God, even Sarah and the baby. No answer fits perfectly. And for many, that is the most chilling part. The ocean does not always give back what it takes. It does not explain itself. It does not confess. Sometimes a mystery wants to remain a mystery. And the Mary Celeste remains the most famous ghost ship of them all, not because she was supernatural, but because she didn't need to be. Reality was haunting enough. The sea remembers only what it wants. The Mary Celeste left harbor with 10 souls. Not one returned. No weapons, no blood, no storm, no trace. Just a ship sailing on, as if waiting for its people to come back aboard. But the ocean keeps secrets, and this one, it kept forever. That's another one in the books. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Next time on The Curious Past, we journey to 18th century London, where a single corpse sparked riots, rage, and one of the strangest funeral controversies in British history. A story of medicine, power, religion, and resurrection. The Resurrection Riot, coming soon.